I want to share with you how I handled fear recently after fear handled me, should I say. So, I have been having issues where I'm just always freezing cold. For the most part, that was just my issue, just freezing cold all the time. I would go to the doctor about once or twice a month. I was just that cold. I knew something was wrong. Once or twice a month since, I think I started back going to the doctor like maybe in the summer of last year, because there would be times in the summer I would turn the AC off, or not even turn the AC on, should I say. Not even turn the AC on, get in my car, and it would just feel so good. And people would come tap on my window and check on me because it all looked crazy. And I understood. But I would have a coldness in my body to where it physically hurt me. I explained this to my doctor. My doctor did blood work. You know, you're going to get your complete blood counts. You're going to do CBCs. You're going to do a plethora of tests. And the doctors know what they're looking for. They're either trying to confirm or deny a disease or whatever. One thing I've learned to do was look at all of my blood tests. Things I didn't understand, I would simply ask the doctor, to explain them to me, interpret these things. When I didn't know the ranges for whatever my test results were. So anyway, there was a test result I got back. I think it was my white blood cell. My white blood cells. My white blood cells were about 800-900 points too low. Anybody know that's a problem? The bottom number should not have been below 1,500. My number was 600 something. That's when I knew, okay, I'm not crazy. There's a problem. It's something going on, I won't say it's always necessarily a problem, but there's just something going on. I spoke to my PCP's PA, so that's my primary care physician's physician assistant, okay? Because I have one of the busiest doctors. She's absolutely amazing. So I spoke to her assistant, and I said, with results this low, shouldn't you follow up? Because I have this complaint. You see these results. All she said to me was, the most important tests are negative. She said, all of your STDs came back negative. I said, still, the problem remains. I have a very low white blood cell count that should not be less than 1,500, and here are my numbers, around 600. She took a deep sigh, like it was frustrating because this was on the phone, but then when I talked to her again, it was via the My Chart messaging. So when I couldn't get anywhere with her, after I told her, I said, usually people have, it could be lupus, any types of lymphoma. I was trying to say something else more specifically. Anyway, I said, this is not something you're willing to follow up on. Never raise my voice, always respectful and mannerable, because if you can turn your back to that, you're a whole nother different creature to me. So I just copied and pasted that message, the previous message where it says, hey, this is my complaint. These are my test results. Would you please investigate. The very next day, my PCP said, I have referred you to oncology ASAP, just as soon as you can, get in there. If they don't call you by 4 p.m. today, she said, you call them tomorrow. That's what she said. So the next day, I was calling them at the same time they were calling me. I just clicked over. And so it was not the MA of the oncologist. Oncology is the study of cancer. So I had to speak with the cancer department. Usually their MA will call you, or their nurse, but the doctor himself called me. And he was, I think the way he was talking, they always try to keep you level-headed and not freak you out. And he said, I see that you have some concerns. Prior to that, prior to the blood work, I had a scan done in February for my back surgery. The back surgeon said, so this is 5 months later, in May, the back surgeon said, because my surgery was June 23rd. The back surgeon said, he came in the room and he looked at me, he's like, hey, he's like, okay, it's you. He said, you had some results that were concerning to me. He said, you have infection in your bone. And he said, before I do anything, I just want to test you again. They did a CAT scan probably 30 minutes later. And they used it, they compared it to the January or February CAT scan. And it had gotten a little worse. He had them side by side. They had gotten a little worse. And I'm like, wow, that's in my bone, My support system is, this thing holds me up. It supports me. He went out of the room. He went out of the room for about an hour. And that's what got scary. And he said, so I want to refer you to someone. And he has nothing to do with Southeast Orthopedic, has nothing to do with UF. And I said, well, I already have someone that I'm seeing as far as oncology. I said, I have someone that I'm seeing. Can you just, have everything forwarded to him? He said, sure. They forwarded in like 15 minutes. It was done. It was done. And so Dr. Hugh was calling me because he had seen it. They did blood work. I passed enough tests to have my back surgery done June 23rd, July 10th. I was scheduled for a biopsy. So I was scheduled for a biopsy 3 times. For whatever reason, it didn't work, but I was praying. I said, God, whatever it is, go before everyone that touches me and correct it. July 10th, biopsy. They took blood. They took a sample of my bone. I had to heal up from that. Still healing up from back surgery too, from June 23rd. So it's just everything. So I was just home down in the dumps. So this is why I wasn't recording, that's why there hadn't been any posts or whatever. But this is me. I'm home. I'm spiraling. I'm a woman. My imagination is very strong. Sometimes it runs me, but I got control now. So at times it has run me, down in the dirt. If you have my chart, you will get your results sometimes even before your doctor does, and they did warn me. They said, hey, we don't know what the results are, but you may get the results before we do. My oncologist also said, if you have cancer in your bone marrow, then it's already too late. I wasn't worried about it until I got that diagnosis. I'm going to try to say the diagnosis because I don't have it pulled up. But it was something like aberrant IgG something plasma cell, and it said identified. That means it's been identified in my bone marrow. And I saw that about 1 a.m. in the morning on my chart. Immediately, my heart started. My heart started beating so fast. Dre was asleep, and it woke him up. It woke him up. And I couldn't speak. But my diagnosis, I saw before the doctor. They tell you to leave that stuff alone, but my head was hard as a brick. It said abnormal, and then it said diagnosis, and then it read, talking about the plasma cells. Me Googling everything, I can say with certainty the devil showed me everything that he knew I was afraid of. Because the spirit of fear is not of God. And that's why I say the devil. And he's going to drag you as far as you allow him to. I learned that too. And then I let that thing drag me. I let that thing drag me. So for nights, that maybe that week every night, I couldn't sleep. I'm like, what if I lay down and I don't wake up? Because my heart was beating so fast. A 3-day period, I lost 15 pounds. This is what stress does to you. Stress literally kills you. And I was going. My blood pressure was dropping. I couldn't eat. I couldn't even think. All I could do was worry because that fear had set in. And then I call someone that I now know was placed in my life as a blessing and to help me, just navigate this thing. When you're going through it, all you need is God. But God blessed me with that physical person here. And so I called my friend. My friend started sending me scriptures. And this meant the most to me because I don't care who I complained to, family or anybody. Nobody took the time out to do research and look things up for me except for this friend. Everything my friend sent me, I prayed. I asked God to let me read it, accept it, and apply it to my life. And all of this was about faith and having hope. I started reading it. Everything that I had received, I had to read it more than once. I had to read it more than twice. That's how I learn things. I have to get it in me. So I keep reading something. Anything it is, I have to keep reading. I have to read it. And then I know I have to accept it. Believe it, accept it, then apply it to your life. I ask God, teach me how to do this. Like, I need this right here. It's scripture. I knew, this is what I need. I'm going to try and make this long story short. So this goes from the day of biopsy leading up to going to see oncologists to get test results on July 29th. So from July 10th to July 29th, I'm just going to say God made me over. I had been praying for God to make me over. Everything I had been looking up was scary. My attention was drawn to everything, when you look things up and you should not. When you Google something and you look it up, if you already have that spirit of fear, your eyes are going to be drawn to all the negative words. Cancer, progressive. And I just saw all of those things. And my heart beat so fast. I knew one day when I was just slowing down, I sat down and I just went into this rest. I honestly think I fainted. It's funny now, but I honestly think I fainted. Going into that sleep, all I could do was say, God, make me over. I'm scared. Please forgive me for being scared. Because it's like I doubt you. And if anybody knows me, a lot of people know what God has delivered me from since a child to just, it's always been something. Thank God I've learned them to be my lessons. I remember laying back on my chair, This is after I've run my family crazy. You know, I didn't cook from, I can tell you from, I was afraid even going into the biopsy because there was such a pain. I didn't cook, I know for sure, from July 10th to, I think the first day I cooked was the 30th of July. So that entire time, July 10th to July 29th, God was making me and I didn't know. So I realized all that fear that I had. I read the scriptures that I had gotten and I asked God, you know, I said specifically, my grandma always taught me, you got to be specific when you talk to God. I just said, God, all of this, put this in me. I asked God to put it in me. And as he was doing it, I was starting to feel better and feel better. And I'm sorry. I'm like, I'll be okay. And I said, God, whatever it is, please bless me so that you get the glory. It works out for my good and for the betterment of people. So I said, even if I did have one of the worst uncurable cancers, I knew whatever God was going to do, it would be for the good. Still had some fear, but that's what I was praying for, God to get the glory for my good and the betterment of people. And I said, I know I'll be okay with that. So this is me starting to accept the scriptures that I read, the promises of God. I'm going to cut through a whole lot. The day of my appointment, July 29th, going to see the oncologist to get all the results, where by that time I had just accepted whatever it is, I'll be okay. But the way God put that lesson on me, you know, the way he put it in me, and I was getting, my friend was sending me, you know, scriptures almost every day, every other day, and telling me to read it and get it in me, right? That day I was making my bed because I said, if I go and get bad news, I'm going to want to come home and just lie in my bed and probably just go to sleep. I believe when something bothers me really, really bad, I pray and go into a sleep, and when I wake up, I'm different. I can say that. I can say that because I believe your faith will always be your reality. I had to accept that. So I was making my bed because I wanted my bed just to feel good to me. When I came home from my doctor's appointment, all of my family, everybody had taken off from work to go with me. I was making my bed and I said, God, I'm the clay and you are the potter. Make me over. And with that, I lay down and I took a nap. It was that I took about a 5-10 minute nap that felt like I was asleep. It felt like I had slept for a day. But I had an alarm set to wake me up to get ready to go to the appointment. The appointment was less than 15 minutes down 295 off Bay Meadows, so it's nowhere from home. I was losing my mind as we were getting ready to walk outside and get into the car. I didn't want my son to see the worry on my face. So I let him sit in the front seat and I sat behind him so he wouldn't see me. Dre was driving and I recall him kept looking in the rearview mirror at me. And so I kind of slid down the seat a little bit because I wanted no eye contact. I wanted to like freak out on my own. Even though I had came to this place where there was that rest. I don't care if you took a math test and you're waiting for the results, you're nervous. So this is me having looked up every single thing, been in the medical field all my life, know what to look up, no diagnosis codes, know to call somebody and have somebody, hey, what's this? Can call a doctor and say, hey, what's that? I rested in God and I said, when I go up here, please bless me to keep my head. You get on the elevator, you go up to the second floor. When you come off the second floor, you step right into the office. That's the only place you're going to go when you get on the elevator and go up. You step right off into oncology. That's one cold place, y'all. That place is freezing cold. It's different. I see people coming in and out, getting their radiation therapy, their chemo. I see them with the head scarves on and just hair going, just everything. And I said, God, whatever you do, please don't ever let me look sick. And always bless me to be happy. And bless me, I always want people to see God in me. And get on the elevator. My son was with me, and I was, Dre dropped me off at the door, waiting for my son. My son no. My son wanted to wait for me, so he waited for his dad to park the car. My sons are like lions about their mom. My sons are like lions about me. It's beautiful, the protection I have, the love that I have in my children. So he stands there and he's looking at me almost like he's studying me. I was nervous. I had noodle knees, for real. I can laugh now, but I still want to cry. So when Dre comes, we go and get on the elevator. Going up the elevator, when I tell y'all I walked the green mile, if you know, you know. I walked the green mile. But I took God with me in my heart. Because God don't leave us. We always leave him. He never leaves us. And it seems like we like gang when it's fire, when we're scared. God, our best friend then. In that moment, in that feeling, I asked God to bless me to always have that relationship with him. I went into oncology. I remember signing in. The way I had written my name was so ugly, they didn't even know the name to call. And it never hit me that they couldn't read it. Now it's funny. The nurse came out. The nurse asked, she's like, is your family with you? I was like, yeah. And then, I'm thinking there's a problem. I'm like, okay. She even sent in the messaging on the my chart, yeah, bring your family with you. Because I did ask, I said, would it be okay if I bring lots of family with me? She said, we encourage our patients to bring their family. I ended up only going with 2 people. And I've said, I had started to say, since I had been reading those scriptures, I'll always have what I need, and I'll always have who I need. Those were the only 2 people I needed in that moment. God was there, but in the physical, I had what I needed. And I thought about it. I'll always have what I need. There was 2 chairs in there. Dre and DJ sat in those chairs. I sat up on the exam table. The doctor came in the room, it seemed like 30 minutes later. I'm like, why is it taking so long? He's so cool with me, and I just felt like he was taking his time because he didn't want to hurt my feelings and say, something, that he knew would crush me. He came in there smiling. And I'm like, yeah, he does this too much because he's smiling, and I'm ready to jump out the window. Whew. He looked at me. He said, what's wrong? You're usually, you're usually mellow, but he can see the stress. My heart was beating so fast. He said, what's wrong with you? You don't have a problem. He said, well, I'll tell you this. He said, everything we saw, he was like, nothing makes sense. Out of everything we saw, nothing makes sense. Because once I got the diagnosis, they put you through a lot of confirm or deny tests. I did CAT scans. I did a full body CAT scan. that was scary because I knew whatever was there. Oh, let me tell you this. I even had a bone lesion. It grew as a knot came up right here. So when I did my CAT scan, they scanned from my hip all the way up. Getting there to get my results from the oncologist. I had no bone lesions, no plasma cells in my bone marrow. Everything was miraculously turned around. But when the doctor said all of that, it was 2:24 p.m. July 29th. And when he said that, I burst out crying, and I saw the doctor come toward me like he was about to, because I'm sure he didn't want me to fall off of the exam table. Dre and DJ, when I opened my eyes, because I felt them, I knew they were right there. I felt they held me. I opened my eyes just to have all of that support around me. It just felt good. But to know that I was healed. You start to feel like this overwhelming feeling, like something is being lifted off of you, like that burden. But then like God is just pouring new life into you. And I can't really explain like what it felt like, but I knew God filled me with the best of the best. He changed me. He changed everything about me. Another thing I had been asking God for was to change my mindset, because when you've grown up with the childhood traumas that I had grown up with, your thought process is different. Mainly, pretty much everything you think about, maybe first it's gonna be negative. You just feel like that's just your life. Your imagination drags you. Your imagination drags you. So I have been asking God to heal my mindset, heal my nervous system, because also with childhood traumas, your nervous system is just wrecked and raggedy. You're always unhinged. You respond to nothing in a calm manner, anything that scares you especially. You hyperventilate. Everything is just wacky tacky. I mean, nothing's held steady. But when God makes you over, when you pray and you ask God to make you over, when you commit and you say, I'm the clay and God, you're the potter, and you allow him to make you over, because one thing life has taught me, God ain't gonna force himself on you. I learned that. I always thought, God, make me do it. That's how I used to be. God, make me do it. It's funny now. But the love that God poured into me, the faith that God has shown me, I asked him to grow my faith. And that lesson right there, man, I don't ever want to go through that no more. God, I don't want to go through that no more. And hope. Somewhere in the Bible, one day I'm going to be able to quote y'all some scriptures. For you to have that love, faith, and hope. Those are the things I prayed for. And I got all of that day. I can say that I know and God ain't gonna force itself on you, but if you really want it, if your faith, if you go within and you know that those things are gonna happen for you with certainty, because God is God. If you know you need God for everything and God don't need you for nothing, you'll get it together. So when I say we have everything we need within, even when we don't realize it, Just dig deeper. It's there. It's there. I don't know how to, I don't know what else to say to get you to accept the fact that everything you need is in there. All I can say is, this is just one of the things I've been through, you know, that I could share to hopefully give somebody that hope. But you're totally deserving of that peace. Those promises of God, I mean, he ain't forcing nothing on us. We got free will for a reason. He's gentle, the most powerful being. There are no words. The most powerful person ever gives you free will, and he ain't gonna force nothing on you. And he's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now I can say, where I am now, I accepted 100% the promises of God. I'm still learning. But I know, you know, I still have a concern, a lesson that I'm trying to pass. But I know if I go through it with God, I'm going to come out on top. I can't lose with that. So all I'll leave you with is go into it with God. Allow yourself to learn the lesson. And get some faith about yourself. People always say faith of a mustard seed. You're going to be put through some lessons. Just pray. Just say, God, whatever the lesson is, bless me to pass it. I would always say to God that I want him to be satisfied with me and me trying. Help me, especially when there are things I don't know. Now I know all I have to do is just have faith and knowing that things are working out for my good. I shared this, and I could have been more specific too. I could have dug a little deeper. But I shared this because it worked out for my good. I know this is going to help somebody, you know, with their faith walk. And to God be the glory. If y'all stuck it out, thank you. Dig deeper.